Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the last forum of InFocus this week. What true organizational efficiency means and how to get your business there. Excited to have you all with us today. So, well, together with Bas, I'm your host. I'm an enterprise account manager at GitHub, working with mostly our customers in North EMEA. And Bas, yeah, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this session, the last InFocus session. Yeah, my name is Bas. I'm a solutions engineer at GitHub. So it's my task to help customers to adopt the GitHub platform, working with customers in Europe, mostly in the Nordic region.
So we actually also have a team in the back end supporting us. So a couple of house rules or platform nice to knows is you have a chat on the right hand side. This session is collaborative and communicative, so please feel free to ask your questions, your comments, share your best practices, respond to each other. You can also, of course, ask us questions. Our team in the back end will help us answer questions in the chat. But yeah, you also have the opportunity to join us on stage by clicking the raise hand button in the corner over there. When you click on that button, you'll get the option to turn on your camera, and then you can join us in the conversation when one of our teammates invites you in. Then we also have a poll section. Sometimes we'll open up a poll and ask you some questions. During that poll, you'll see a red dot next to the poll text on the right hand side. And then when we close the poll again, we'll share with everybody what the results are. And then also nice to know, you can always request a demo. You'll see the blue button on the top right corner. That corner. Also, if you just want to talk to someone with from the GitHub team directly, feel free to click on request a demo. Doesn't necessarily have to be a demo, but we're very happy to do that as well. So I guess yeah, let's kick it off, Bas.
Thank you, Maya. Yeah, I think organizational efficiency is a very broad topic. So we thought it would be great to sort of reduce it to a few topics to discuss today. And as Maya shared, we really would love your inputs. The purpose here is not, for us to present to you. The purpose really is to have a conversation, so a discussion among, US attendees. And so we decided to focus on the following three topics. So one is talk about onboarding. So, how do you onboard your developers? And how can you make sure that they are, productive as soon as possible, but they're also happy, on the new job. The second topic is focusing on collaboration. I think collaboration, you cannot build software without collaborating with others. So I think it's a key topic also regarding the productivity, not of only individual developers, but especially teams, because software development is teamwork. And the final topic, I think that's a difficult one. It's like measuring success. So how do you measure success? So how do you know you're meeting your goals? So I would love to hear from you also, kind of, do you measure success? What kind of metrics are you using and things like that? But we will start off with the onboarding. And so what we want to start off with is by just starting with a poll, just, learning from you kind of what best describes your team. So this gives us a little bit of an understanding about, do we have a lot of developers on the team or engineering managers? And so I will just stop sharing for now. And John, maybe you can put up the poll so people can just vote, so we can have an idea what kind of audience we have today.
So you'll see the poll is open, and you can fill in your answer, and we'll have a look who's here today. Because yeah, I think we have a topic that can address a lot of different people and different teams. So very interested to see who we have in the audience today. Also, it's Friday afternoon. Maybe that says something about the audience that we have today. I don't know, but let's see. And very, very excited to see so many people of different countries. I see Lebanon and UK and Poland. That's actually very exciting. Different time zones. Bas and I, by the way, we're in Amsterdam, so that is GMT +2 or CEST timing. So 3 p.m. Portugal, hey, welcome. John, let's look at the poll results. Let's see who we have here. Nice. Most product development. I think that's sort of expected, right? But very diverse. Some customer success, product management, product marketing. Cool. Good.
Yeah,
so I guess, yeah.
Also quite a few security folks, which is also great. Product development and operations. I guess a lot of the system engineers are actively also in DevOps. I think it's a great audience. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. So let me just share my screen again, and let's head to the next topic. Give me 1 sec, please.
Yeah, so we'll start off with collaboration and onboarding. I think it's interesting to see, especially now, everybody's going to be a software company if there aren't today. So how long does it take for your team to start working and start committing code? Is that day one, or is that within a few hours? Does it take a month? How long is your onboarding process? It's super different depending on the industry you're in and your team structure. So I think that's pretty interesting topic to have a discussion on. Feel free to in the chat share your onboarding experience, or if you feel like you can improve. The different people that we have today can definitely help. We can help each other out. We can also give some insights on how we do it at GitHub. So yeah, Bas, what do you think?
Yeah, what I want to do is, I don't want to tire you folks with polls, but for every topic, we want to start off with a poll so we get kind of an idea about, and in this case, I would love to learn from you, how long does it take for a new hire to start contributing? Could be a bit focused on like the developers, but it could, of course, also be related to other roles. So how long does it take for someone to start being productive in your organization? And, that could be a good conversation starter to see, are you happy with those timelines, or would you like to, have your new hires contribute faster, like earlier? So we would love to learn from you. So I'll probably need to kind of stop sharing here for John to kick off the poll. And if you can please provide your vote. And then we will share the results in half a minute.
So Pavitra, I see your comment. Yeah, it definitely depends on what team you're on. So just a question to the developers in the room. If you think about your team specifically, how long does it take to onboard? Feel free to comment in the chat. Also, if you're interested in just joining on stage and comment, you're welcome. And I think, yeah, the poll is open.
Yeah, maybe the one thing to share from my end. I mean, when I joined GitHub, which is quite some time ago, it's more than 6 years ago. I remember I went to San Francisco for onboarding, and like after the first day of onboarding, the second day I had breakfast with another onboarding colleague. And so he told me he was in engineering and he contributed like at the end of the first day of onboarding, you get, access to the systems. He got a buddy assigned, and after the onboarding class, he just spent some time in the office together with his buddy, and together they went, setting up, a GitHub on his machine, and he just started doing some fairly simple change together with his buddy, and he went all the way through the workflow, including deploying it. I was pretty impressed by it. I was like, wow, you just started, like you're 1 day in, and you already made your first kind of deployment on the GitHub platform, and it was pretty amazing. I think pretty fast. I mean, I cannot imagine a faster onboarding than what he was doing at the time. So yeah, John, what are the results from the poll? So this is pretty good. So there's quite a few attendees here that managed to sort of start contributing within a few days. Yeah, I would love to learn from you. I mean, how do you onboard? So what does it, what do you do in order to help those new hires to get onboarded so fast? If someone could speak up, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll be keen to learn also what maybe someone that voted for a few days and someone that voted for more than 1 month. I think it's very interesting to learn about what your onboarding process is and what makes it so fast or what makes it take longer. So again, feel free. You can post your comments in the chat, of course, and feel free to click on the share or raise hand button if you want to join us. So tooling for local environments and automated pipelines. I can't see your name though. Would you like to elaborate a little bit on that? And I see Martin, engineering support. So you give new members the triage incoming issues. Yeah, I think. Oh, great. Hey, Bas Peters. Thanks for joining us. Oh, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Something that I want to share from my experience was that I just got started in the first week itself. Although my laptop was not ready and up to speed, what we did was we started pairing right off, like the same day. And it helped me immediately start contributing. Although I did not know everything but we were pairing, but I had some experience and knowledge about the tooling, about being a developer. So it was easy to get started there. So that kind of helped me get started into quickly. And I took some time, like every day, 2 hours to set up my laptop, install everything, attend the onboarding sessions. So that's how it worked for me.
So did you get a buddy assigned that paired with you, or was it just random, or?
Yeah, it was just like I just joined the team and I was random. Okay, I was looking for a pair and they picked me up and I was rotating. And that was my first experience with pairing too. And it was like honestly very surprising that I was immediately on hand, like starting to contribute, easy to, talk about it, ask doubt and iteratively learn about the product that you're working on.
But was it more your initiative, or is pair programming something that is done a lot in your organization, or is that a common practice?
It's not an organization, but I would say it's more in the team that we were working with. So we also had some thought workers working with us. So that was something that we followed in the team. In our organization, we can say that some people follow it, are comfortable doing pairing, some are not. So it depends on the team.
But yeah, because in GitHub we get like a buddy assigned, so you always have like a go-to person, someone who's in the same role that helps you out. So was this just a one-off pairing session, or did you sort of team up with this particular person also, like the next days in order to ask for other things, or?
Yeah, so I started off with this person for some days till we finished this task or story, and then I started pairing with somebody else. So it was rotating, the pairs were rotating.
Yeah, it's great.
Hey, I see Martin Lester. Would you like to join us on stage? Love to hear from you as well. Feel free to click the raise hand button. No problem. So if there's anyone, let us know. And again, also if you have questions for each other, you feel free to drop them in the chat. Hey, Martin, thanks for joining.
It's okay. I'm not sure my
Yeah,
it's working.
we can hear you.
It's fine.
We
Cameras. Oh
just
no.
can't see you.
Yeah, we work in a DevOps sort of engineering support team. So we support our developers by using GitHub and Collaboration and all the other tools that developers need to build the software that we deploy. This particular time, I rejoined the company. So the company used to be Cisco. Before Cisco bought the company previous, it then became Cisco, and then Cisco expunged the company that we're in now. And so when I joined in the first week, I was given GitHub export import tool. So I hadn't used GitHub at that point. I was told you've got something like 2 terabytes of data to export out of Cisco into this new system that somebody who's left now has set up. Go. That was my first week task. So that was a bit of a hitting the ground running. But previous to that, usually we do. We've got sort of incoming triage list from developers all around the world saying this bit of your system isn't working for us. And it's usually the easiest, lightest touch for a new person to come in. It takes load off the people in the team that are experienced, have got important upgrades and other things to main development to do, because they don't need to then do that. And if it's simple requests like adding users and permissions issues and add me a new project into this bit of system, whatever the tasks are, that then is quite easy for them to pick up and start getting a feel for what's in the wider part of our systems. It's a fairly, I've seen it a few times, it's a fairly common approach to giving people a feel, getting their name out there as well. After I've done that for a little while and got used to things, usually there's something that is fairly small, like an upgrade or install a new plugin or something to one of the many tools that we've got, that they can then start taking on their own. Just learning the bits of, there's a lot, our system is quite sprawling.
So when someone is onboarding, so with the triaging, do you like label also like incoming issues that are like easy to to pick up for someone who's new, or do you manually kind of assign them to new hires?
Usually they're sort of given the task of looking at the incoming list and picking what they feel they can achieve. So they don't necessarily have to look at everything, but they probably will look at everything and do that initial triaging of the things coming in. Even the simple stuff of my thing broke. And you're like, what thing? Can I have a lead? The very basic of, the engineers still make that basic assumption that you know exactly what they're talking about, because it's the most important. Their world is the most important thing ever. So yeah, that part of what is it that's actually broken? Can you give me the information that we need to actually help you fix these problems?
And how do you team up with new hires? Do you assign buddies or something so that people
No,
person,
yeah, we've recently gone through a restructuring, some layoffs and things, so it's difficult at the moment because our team sizes are shrinking, so there's often not enough people to do the work that's around, and there haven't been enough new hires to replace the people that have left. So it's been tricky, that side of things. In the past, there has been some buddying, but not enough. One of the conversations we've been having more recently to say we need more buddying to help. It'd be nice to have some new hires, to be honest. That'd be a first start. Then we can worry about what to do, how to onboard them efficiently. We don't have enough new hires at the moment at all.
Thank you for sharing.
I think that's actually, thanks for sharing. I think that's actually a global issue that we see. Everybody has open vacancies for developers. So yeah. Yeah.
Well, some of our developers are more of our developers are leaking out to other places. So the roles are being filled in other companies, but not in ours. I think we're not offering. We've got a migration out to cheaper areas of the world. But that seems to be a common theme at the moment. They need to tighten belts. I'm not quite sure it's necessarily the right thing to do, personally. not just because you've got the same job title in different places doesn't necessarily mean these people are equal. Yeah, but the bean counters seem to think that the name on the CV is the same, the title on the CV is the same, therefore the people must have the same skill sets.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for sharing. We have some insights as well, right? Bas, some recommendations when it comes to onboarding.
Yeah, there's a few things I want to share, and then let's jump to the next topic, unless there's someone who still has a pressing thing they want to share. Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing, so one thing we've always done at GitHub is like script it all, right? So, and that has always helped us a lot in onboarding, or if someone wants to contribute to some other project, is there's generally a kind of pattern, you could say, of scripts that are available. So for example, to set up things, or there's script setup, there's a validation script that will check your machine if everything was up to date, and all the tools were available to install something locally. There's always the script server in order to run some application. But more recently, we were launching like code spaces, and code spaces, I think, has made a huge difference, not just at GitHub, but also at a lot of our customers. It's like, not just for onboarding, but it definitely helps in onboarding new developers, because a code space is a pre-configured development environment. So with, you provide a dev container configuration in your repository, and you can allow your developers to just launch a code space. So it will use the dev container configuration in order to spin up a virtual machine that will contain your whole developer environment. Also, you can use different cores, so different sizes of machines depending on your projects. And you can use things like port forwarding in order to sort of, view deployments locally from your code space. You can run them from Visual Studio Code on your local machine. You can run them even in the browser. And we're also working with other vendors like JetBrains in order to provide code spaces also in other editors. So that is one thing that is a great, if I want to just contribute to GitHub, which is like, the GitHub platform, I can just spin up a code space, start making some code changes, and run script server, and it will just spin up a local deployment with my changes. And so that really helps us for faster onboarding. There's a few other things I just wanted to share. Yeah, I mentioned working with buddies already. I think that is something that we've always been doing at GitHub, and that works great. I think in every role at GitHub, whenever you are a new hire, you get a buddy assigned that will help you, to find your way within the organization. Another thing, of course, is documentation, right? That is also, I think, key. Provide up-to-date, detailed, and especially also reliable documentation. And if possible, even in different formats, because, different people, they like different ways of learning. Some prefer to have like video tutorials, others prefer reading, others provide more practical examples. And one other thing that got mentioned already with, the example that Martin gave with triaging, for example, it can also help, of course, to have some, like in open source, for example, there's often like this good first issue label that people add to issues, for example. So those are simple changes that a new hire could easily do. Okay, maybe it might, depending on your deployment frequency, you might want to pick issues that are less critical, of course, so that, that are less timely critical, I must say. And the final thing I want to mention here is some customers of ours, they also allow new hires to do a first pass in pull request reviews, so they can familiarize themselves with source code. But there is definitely a downside to this, because if you have a high deployment frequency, it could also slow down, right, your time to merge a pull request. So those are a few things I wanted to share around onboarding. And with that, I just want to jump into the next topic, where we talk a little bit more about collaboration. Because software development is teamwork, right? Take the pull request, for example. That's a very simple example where people collaborate. You propose code changes, and hopefully in most of your cases, there's someone else that will review those changes before they get merged in. You might even have multiple reviewers. So we would love to learn from you how your teams collaborate. And so we will start again with a simple poll asking, how do your teams collaborate? And I provided some options here that are already maybe pretty advanced ways of collaborating, but I would love to learn from you. If we meet any of these, if you meet any of these criteria that we provided in the poll. So maybe John, if you can open the poll, and then I will also stop sharing my slides so we can, in like maybe 20 seconds or something, get to the results of this.
So, Bas,
I do realize. Yeah, please, Maya. Yeah.
Codespace is on GitHub Enterprise, I guess, server. The question we got, if it will be available at some point in the future.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think currently there are no plans of providing Codespace support on GitHub server, especially since Codespaces do rely on like a cloud backend at the moment, and so that would make it rather complicated in order to ship that as a feature to GitHub server.
Yeah. Then I saw Sam, I know you had someone at the door, but I do want to touch upon the topic of Learning Lab, because we have some free courses on GitHub Actions, Intro to GitHub. I usually share that with new customers because they're pretty nice. So check it out, the Learning Lab courses, if you have time. It's nice for onboarding. You can duplicate it also internally in some other way, but at least the process and the flow of those Learning Lab courses are pretty nice. So yeah, Sam, nice comment.
Yeah, the other thing I could add to that is that I think the Docs team is also investing heavily in sort of providing more guides. So especially around using GitHub Actions, getting started with Actions. So beyond the Learning Labs are pretty basic. If you want to do more advanced stuff, then go to docs.github.com/actions and go to guides. And there's a lot of guides that provides, more extensive documentation and tutorials around, deploying to certain cloud systems, how to use OpenID Connect and stuff like that. So that's also, I think, a resource that's getting better and better.
And then
John,
Nicholas,
can we? Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Please go.
Oh yeah. So I saw this question from Nicholas. Do you mind clicking the raising your hand button and just elaborating a little bit on if Codespaces is global warming friendly? I actually learned that keeping my inbox as full as it is today is not global warming friendly. Delete your old emails in your inbox. So Codespaces impact on global warming. Good question. I don't think we know.
Well, I think that is a great question. I think so it would depend on what machine, right? I mean, yeah, maybe you can repeat your question, Nicholas. You're muted.
No, we can't hear you.
And now?
Yes.
Okay, that's better. What if my machine is working fine, is running software fine? How do you evaluate the horsepower between my machine and what is on the cloud? Is it does the Codespace is I'm sorry, I'm not finding my word. Is Codespace more energy, consumes more energy than my machine, and is it better or worse than for the planet, for the ecology?
Yeah, I think
it's a tricky question, but we have to ask ourselves those kind of questions if we want to live a better place. And I'm not always sure that development on the cloud is the best idea for this topic. That's just my opinion. And back in the 70s, a while ago, it made totally sense. Developers had a terminal and would connect to a mainframe to do the development, because they did not have enough. They didn't have the laptop, the workstation that we have today. It makes total sense back then. But now, do we still do we need to go back to this kind of development mode?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, it's a little bit off topic, but I will give a quick response, and maybe we could. I'm happy to follow up with you, after the session. But yeah, I mean, it's a valid point, right? If you have a powerful machine, is there, that already consumes energy because it's plugged into your, at office or at home. At the same, and it's really hard to compare, right? It also depends what size code space you're running, right? If you run, so I think it's really important that if you have a project, you pick the right code space in terms of like the cores that the machine has, for example. I don't know exactly how running these virtual machines compare to like running a laptop in terms of energy consumption. The only thing I know is that we use Azure as a backend for code spaces and a lot of Azure data centers. I mean, Microsoft is kind of striving towards providing like a sustainable environments. But I think if you're interested in this topic and you would like to learn more, I would ask you to just reach out, and we're happy to follow up on that if that is a concern that you have.
We have the request a demo button, so we'll definitely find you when you click on that button, and we can continue the discussion. I think that's it's quite interesting.
Sure,
I
thanks.
would actually like to thank you for joining. Look at the poll results. John, if you can pull them up, thank you.
So these are some really great numbers, I think, because if you look, 34% teams reuse source code from other teams. I think that is just, these are amazing numbers. So I think we have a pretty mature development teams here in the audience. So I think it's really great. One thing that I would love to learn a bit more about is like, what are the type of projects, or what are good projects where, teams, kind of reuse source code from other teams. So if someone would stand up and give us a bit more context about what types of projects people contribute to internally. So is it more like utilities, or, is it more like teams use microservices, they just depend heavily on each other? I would love to learn a bit more about that.
And maybe to add, it's also interesting to hear how much collaboration you get from the open source, right? Is it actually dedicated time that you have to collaborate with the open source, and you get feedback also from the community on your project? I think that's quite interesting. So anyone who has any comments, feel free to post them in the chat. We'll be happy to talk about these topics. So thanks, John. And I think, Bas, if not, we can go to, we can also pick it up if there's anything in the chat, and otherwise we'll move on to the next topic.
Yeah, there's nothing, no one stands up. I mean, there's so many people reusing code, so I would love to hear some stories. Don't be shy. Let us know. Share your success or challenges that you're facing.
There's a good opportunity as well to get feedback from the people that are here today. So seize your opportunity, I'd say. And Bas, maybe we can pull up some slides.
Yeah, there's a few things that I can share. So related to. So one thing that we're working on, I mean, a core piece where we collaborate, right, is in pull request reviews. So one thing that we have in private beta right now is the GitHub merge queue. So if you have a team that very frequently deploys software, then you might be interested in trying out the merge queue capabilities, because it allows you to sort of, to add your changes to a queue, that will be another pull request that gets automatically created. And it will, require all the developers to just go through all the, the CI/CD processes. So it will check against all the checks that you will have against all the changes that are queued in order to, before it gets merged into the main branch. So that's one feature that we're working on that is especially, I think, very neat for high performance teams that do very frequent deploys. And it could help them kind of to take away some blocking issues that they might have today, because if you have changes and in the meantime someone else deploys, and then you get failures against the main branch, you would have to go through all the checks again before you can merge your changes. Another thing is like what I see more and more of our customers using is also GitHub discussions for collaboration and knowledge sharing internally. So it can work like Stack Overflow, but we use it also internally at GitHub a lot for like open conversations. But also, for example, if we have office hours, where people can ask questions to a certain team, we can, we record those and we can upload those to discussions. So people that are not able to join can just watch those recordings later. So this is definitely something that we're using more and more inside of GitHub. And also I see more and more customers using discussions, especially since we launched them as, allowed also private repositories to use GitHub discussions. And one other, so if you go to GitHub/GitHub and then feedback, we also use GitHub discussions a lot to collect customer feedback. So that is also an important way of collaborating, right? Working directly with your end users, with the people that use the products that you built. And so, for example, when people join a beta and they want to provide feedback, of course, they can always directly, reach out to their account team. And we're happy to bring in the product teams if needed. But they can also use the discussion. So they can go to feedback and they can find the right channel for the conversation around the beta they want to provide feedback to, for the team they want to provide feedback to. And this is also something that I see more customers of ours doing, like following this example in providing GitHub discussions as a means of collecting customer feedback. Then I think most of you that use GitHub are familiar with GitHub Pages, which is a great way, you're hosting websites on the GitHub platform. The content can be maintained using pull request review changes. And so that is another way. A lot of our customers are using GitHub Pages to maintain documentation, simply because it has the benefit, because the content is just managed like any other code on GitHub. So it's very easy to keep it up to date. People can contribute to it, even if you're only consuming the content, right? If you're, part of a team that only uses certain documentation, if you find things that are no longer up to date, you can just, submit a pull request to the core team that maintains it in order to request updates. And then one other thing that I'm kind of surprised about that we're using also inside GitHub more and more, even beyond just planning and tracking. You might be familiar that we're working on a big update on how to do planning and tracking on the GitHub platform using, things like the table view that is highly customizable. And this is also a great thing of sharing. And I can give you one example in GitHub that really helps me a lot nowadays is, in GitHub, for us solutions engineers, we always struggled a little bit to find like what betas do we have. We did not have like one overview, and now there's someone created like a project with a nice listing of all the betas that we're having, just pinpointing to the beta issues, right? So we now have one great overview. So there's one place where I can go to check what betas we have at the moment. Which is it's a small example of how to just repurpose existing content on GitHub, but just bringing it, visualizing it in a different way using the new table view that we're having. And then finally, one thing that we're also working on is a major improvement of code search on GitHub. So if you go to cs.github.com/about, you can learn more about it. So we're working on allowing you to do, more precise code searches by specifying the language. You can use Boolean operators, regular expressions, literal searching. So this will be a huge improvement in finding code. And I think this is really important because it will allow teams, especially if you use internal scope repositories, for example, to find code examples that you can easily use as a developer that you can learn from. So it will, I think, greatly help in making the code base also a place to find knowledge within your organization. Finally, I do want to do a shout out. There is a pretty decent percentage of teams in the poll that contribute back to open source. And I think, a lot of maintainers are, pretty stretched, especially if, imagine you have a project and it gets really popular, you get sometimes millions of downloads, and then people start reaching out, having questions, wanting more features. And so I think it's really great that this audience, there's a decent percentage of people already contributing to open source. That's really great. If you're an organization, you can also sponsor other projects on GitHub. So you can contribute also like with money. But I think the best way, of course, is just helping out the community, right? So if you're consuming, open source, think about also like, if you're a manager, think about providing policies that allow your developers to contribute back. If you're a developer, think about contributing back to open source and helping those maintainers to improve their source code. And with that, I just want to go to the final topic for today.
Bas,
Please.
Can I interrupt? Do you know
Absolutely.
if we're gonna what will be the cost for merge queue? Do you know?
There is no added cost. It's not like an add-on or anything. So it will just be a feature that we will ship with GitHub. The only thing is it's currently in private beta. So there's kind of a wait list for customers to join. But it will just be part of the, I think is it the enterprise plan? I don't, out of the top of my head, I don't know what plans it will support, but could be all plans. We need to check.
No additional
Maybe if
cost.
someone can, but there's no additional cost now.
Got it. And I saw Dawood's comment. I think depending on communities and searches online is always there. Good comment. Would you mind joining us on stage, just elaborating a little bit how you're doing it in your organization? Feel free to click on the raise hand button if you like to join us here and elaborate a little bit on your comments. Did we already share the poll results? I think we did, right?
Yeah, we did. Not for measuring success though. That's the last topic, but for collaboration we did. Let me just stop sharing and
we have Ruslan joining. Hi.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me, right?
Yeah, we
okay,
can.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm asking about the merge queue because I keep tracking the this new feature because it's required for our workflow. We have many different PRs to the one big project, and sometimes the managers need to be kind of have a workflow where you can one by one merge new PRs to the main branch. And because this is triggering the building system. And when I asked to implement, turn on this feature in our projects, and our SRE said that it's based on GitHub action, it will be increased our additional cost for running this kind of things. That's why I'm asking, does it on top of GitHub action, or it's a separate price, or maybe different,
No, so to use merge queue, there's no additional cost involved to use the feature. However, of course, so if you have an open pull request and you join the merge queue, right? So the whole idea of the merge queue is that it will run, all the tasks, right, that are associated to that pull request, so to the project. And so the additional cost could be the additional check it will do against the train. But at the same time, it could also be a cost benefit, because if there's a lot of people that merge into the main branch, right, and you're trying to merge into the main branch, and there's some other folk just doing this merge, then it might be that you get a failing check, and you need to go through, make some fix, run through all your workflows again in order to make sure that you're not breaking the main branch when you want to merge. And so there could also be a cost benefit, because it's more efficient. If you join the train, it will just run the checks against the whole train, so against all the pull requests that are part of that queue.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Whatever the final pricing will be, somehow like a time estimation to get that, or not at the moment?
There is no. So there, you mean like a calculation? I think that would be specific also to your case, right? So I think we're moving towards a public beta. So are you already using it, or are you already on the beta, or? Okay.
Not at the moment, because
so
SRE.
What I recommend.
Mm-hmm.
What I recommend you to do, so in a few months, hopefully it will be a public beta. So then I would just, for a project, I would run it for a little while. So just check it out. And, maybe you would kind of try to monitor the the runs,
Mhm.
like before and during the use of merge queue. And yeah, I'd be really curious to learn from that. But my guess is that there will not be an increase, because it will be
Okay.
more efficient, because it will test against all the pull requests that are part of that queue.
I think we can, Rosman, feel free to click on request a demo. Then we have your contact information, and we can continue the conversation.
Okay, great. Thanks. I will disconnect otherwise. Thank you for answering.
You can stay. You're welcome to stay. we'll go to. We only have 15 minutes until the end of the session, so let's discuss the last topic. Interested to hear your feedback. So, Rosman, if you want to stay, you're welcome. It's not too crowded. Dawood, you can also join if you want. Yeah, Bas, so let's continue.
Yeah, so the final topic is like measuring success. So, do you collect metrics? How do you use metrics? Who do you share them with? So we would love to learn from you. And as we did with the other topics, we will start with a poll. So maybe, John, can you open the poll for the measuring success topic? The question that we have for you is, do you measure developer productivity and happiness?
Then there's also organizations that measure developer experience, of course. So that's sort of a third one. But it's very interesting to see if, especially Martin, when you touched upon that topic, that people are leaving and open vacancies everywhere, developer happiness is actually quite important. So it's interesting to see if organizations are going along with that trend and actually measuring it. You take action, make sure you guys stay. Or not, and it's something that they should. So interesting to see. Shall we let's see, should we pull out the poll? John, would you mind sharing the results? Oh, not that high, eh? Not that on a fixed cadence.
Yeah. Yeah, but still, I mean, every now and then we run a survey, so that is apparently something that is fairly common to use. And then there's definitely 20% is doing it on a fixed cadence. Yeah, I mean, I would love to start. Maybe, is it possible if someone could step up that is doing, collecting metrics on a, kind of on a fixed cadence? Because I would love to start with some success story to give an example, as the majority of the attendees are, not frequently or not doing any surveys or measuring at all for developer productivity and happiness. So I don't know if someone is willing to step up and share a little bit of their experiences and what they're measuring. That would be great.
So, Bas, I don't know if we had that conversation yesterday, or if I had it with someone else, that within GitHub and the developer teams, we actually have this daily automated survey for the developer themselves at the end of the day to see, did they take their breaks? How was it a good day? Was it a bad day? And at first we thought, okay, this is going to be annoying and people are not going to appreciate having to fill in that survey end of the day every day. But actually, it resulted to a reflection point to actually go back to that day and see, okay, what was successful, what was not. So it's actually, it's very, very, very interesting to see and very interesting to measure.
Yeah, I think that is.
I see someone has a question. Please, if you can post your question in the chat, and then and if you click on raise your hand, we can invite you on stage. Sorry, Bas, go ahead.
No, please, and maybe can you stop sharing the poll, maybe, John? Perfect. Yeah, do we have a question or?
So I don't see the name. I do see someone asking, we need advice about implementing CI/CD based on standards and best practices. Feel free to click on the request a demo. We're happy to help you out. I think that's more a topic that we can one-on-one help you out with. Martin, would you mind joining us again to elaborate a little bit about this best question? Just a reminder, it's the raise hand button on the right corner. Hey, we can see you.
Yeah, this was when we were part of Cisco, and Cisco have a very vast amount of onboarding. They buy a lot of companies every year, and one of the side effects of that is they also have a lot of people being made redundant every year. It just became almost like a cadence of once a year. Were you or your people you knew on the list of people that were getting made redundant? And they do regular surveys throughout their engineering, and one of the questions on that was this one I posted there. If you were offered the same role with the same benefits at a different company, would you accept that role? And I think they gave us sort of like a 1 to 10 unlikely to likely kind of ratio. And they, this particular year, I think it was the second year after we'd been bought by Cisco, they got an 80 to 90% of engineering were above 8, 9 or 10 on that kind of very, very likely. And I think the fear through the upper management was if a recruiter found that particular piece of information, they could probably just hire the entire engineering department away from Cisco within a month, that sort of. And so, yeah, they very promptly started kind of knee-jerk reaction things. They implemented holiday days, so your birthday was a holiday day. They spent some money on putting in some like, you know, breakout areas with massage chairs, which I think almost missed the point. It's like that was, you just spent what probably was like £500,000 on making pretty areas that a few people use once or twice a day. But the real key problem was you're throwing good engineers out the door without any real when the engineers themselves can't see. We're logical people. We can't see the logic behind the decisions being made, and it doesn't give
So Martin,
really good, security.
So did they do anything with the results of the poll? So
yes, they did, but what they did
didn't
really fill us with confidence that they actually understood the underlying problem. But it was a really good question to judge the mood of the engineering departments, because in other departments there wasn't that same kind of, no, if people are happy in the company they're in, they generally vote that one low. They don't feel that they're at the same roles at other companies, or they're just happy with the people they know and the people they're working with. I suspect if you ask the same question around GitHub, you'd probably find it was quite low. My experience of talking to people in GitHub, they're quite happy working for GitHub, even since it was taken over by Microsoft. So yeah, it's a relatively simple question that does give a very, like, if you just did the same thing for someone else, would you feel that was a benefit? And in the way Cisco solved it was they outboarded. They worked out which bits of the company that weren't making enough profit for Cisco and spun it out as a new company, which is the company I then got made redundant by Cisco. I was one of the people that ended up being made redundant, and the new company that got formed 2 years later, I got invited to join back again. But
I also, to be honest, Martin, I wonder also how valuable. You mentioned it would theoretically it could be a very valuable metric for a recruiter. But if we go? We want, to measure how happy are our developers, right? So I wonder what is the value of such a metric towards like improving developer happiness. I wonder.
Yeah, it's a very sort of simple finger in the air. Are people happy or disgruntled with the company as a whole? As to focusing what would make them happier, in that particular example, not having such a high and regular redundancy cycle was generally the feeling among developers as to what the problem was. The other one being not knowing why. The choices of who was being made redundant seemed very arbitrary from that bottom layer. The developers looking upwards were just seeing people rolling dice. There didn't seem to be any coherence to that system. So,
another question I have, Martin, is so in that situation, do you have one-on-ones with managers? Was that common, or like, you know, having like a weekly sync? Because I would say that is the way of sort of, you know, kind of getting a sense of how happy your developers are, right? If you talk to your manager and like,
there was.
And if you are, of course, if you have a culture where you can speak up easily, right? It will be
that was one of those things. Cisco's such a large company that it's very difficult for your voice to be heard that far up the chain. The people at the top end seem to be almost playing a different game or business than people doing the work at the bottom end. And so you do often feel very detached from the company as a whole in that scenario. Even in the company I'm in, which is a much smaller subset, it still has that slight feeling of detachment, particularly with the pandemic.
We only have a few minutes left actually before our forum is over. I do want to ask Ruslan, what did you answer to the poll?
We're not collecting this information at the moment because we company we are working at is not that big. We're less than 100 people.
Yeah,
so maybe you're not there yet. You have enough communication.
We recently had one go around.
I think we not driver the metrics, and we still have one-on-ones on a higher quality when the team is growing so big that one-on-ones is just 30 minutes or 15 minutes like that. So we have like a quality-based one-on-ones.
Which is great, I think. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, Maya, are there any, thanks for contributing, Roshan and Martin. So are there any other questions, Maya, or?
I think.
Did you see the Good Day surveys that were mentioned in one of the other InFocus?
No, we didn't.
Because one of the other InFocus mentioned the internal GitHub Good Day survey as a way.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yes. That's what I was referring to earlier.
Took the survey or do that regularly or use it? I was thinking of trying it myself. I haven't actually. I wondered if there was already a survey monkey out there somewhere.
So there actually is. So you're referencing to the Good Day project, right? And Maya mentioned she was very surprised that initially they were kind of hesitant in asking developers to fill out a survey. So they did a pretty small scale. It was an experiment at GitHub. And so they did a very like a 2-minute survey among 40 developers across 2 weeks in order to just do this experiment and see. And initially they thought, they won't like doing those surveys. But one of the most interesting findings was really that, that developers really liked that kind of, to take that this minute to reflect, to kind of close out the day and look back at, okay, what did I achieve this day? So that was definitely a surprising outcome. And so as a result, and we're out of time a bit, so I'll just go through this very quickly. But there is a blog post on the whole Good Day project. Also on the blog post, we also shared the whole survey, so you could implement it. And
I saw the survey. I just wondered whether someone had actually already put a survey monkey together, because that was what I was going to do. Take those.
Yeah. So. Okay, no, go ahead. I mean, feel free to use those, but there is a Good Day Slack bot that we've created, which is an open source project that I'm just sharing right now. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
And so
Bas, we just have a minute left.
Yeah. So the Good Day Slack bot is something that you, if you use Slack, it's an integration that you can use, so that allows your developers. But
we use Teams.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. You're using Teams, so. Well, feel free to get inspired by this bot and create one for Teams. That would be great.
I wish it was as easy as Slack.
Yeah, but
hey, Martin and Ruslan, I think our team is gonna get you off stage soon, as we don't have that much time. So thank you for joining. And then Bas, sorry, I cut your sentence, but we'll have to wrap up soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just to wrap up, I want to share one thing. I will not kind of spend time on this, but I do want to mention in terms of measuring. I want to mention the SPACE framework if people are not familiar with it. So Nicole Forsgren and some others also from the Microsoft research team have created a framework that allows you to provide a kind of, they call it like more a holistic view. So getting beyond just measuring activity, allowing you to kind of measure different dimensions in productivity. It's just a framework. So you could use there's no need to use all the 5 dimensions that it provides. You can use a few of them to start measuring. But this was also used in the Good Day project. And there's a few links here that you can follow along. There's the paper, there's a talk by Nicole Forsgren, and there's also the developer velocity portal that Microsoft created. So that's where they share all the research that Microsoft is doing around developer velocity, developer productivity. So I just wanted to share this before we close out. And these could be some resources. So if you want to get into kind of looking into how can we measure against our goals, then I think taking a look at the SPACE framework would be a great start to get an understanding of how to apply it in your organization. And so with this, I will just stop sharing, and Maya, I think we can close out for today.
Yeah, so I want to thank everybody that joined today, that participated, that listened in. I hope it was a learning experience for everybody that was here. Bas, thank you for sharing your knowledge, and also the team in the back end, John and Peter, Veronica, thank you for your support. Again, feel free, you can still click on the request a demo button to talk to someone from the GitHub team directly. And yeah, thank you all for joining. Have a great weekend, and great rest of your Friday afternoon.